When I first stepped into this industry, the assumption was that if I wanted to earn my keep, I could expect to either do everything a man could or work twice as fast to keep up. And so today, with full confidence, I can claim the title of a true badass. I was able to keep up with the best of them, but that was years ago, and it's unsustainable. There are just some things that women are not built to do. And there are some things that men are not built to do. However, if I wanted to be in construction, the message was clear: adapt to the environment as it exists. But over time and through the decades of real job site experience, I came to understand something more grounded. Traditional roles in construction did not form by accident. They developed around innate skill sets. The industry was built largely by men, for men, and those systems reflected the strengths that were most common in that workforce: physical endurance, direct communication, rapid decision making under pressure. Those strengths built highways, bridges, hospitals, and cities. The simplicity of how men operate is this linear focus, productivity, and efficiency in very complex construction projects. At the same time, women have always brought a different set of innate strengths to every environment that they enter: organization, emotional awareness, coordination, long range thinking, and the ability to manage complexity while holding relationships together. For a long time, those strengths were not fully recognized inside construction spaces because the industry did not originally design itself around them. But now we're in a transition, and transitions are rarely smooth. They take longer than we expect because real change requires collaboration. It requires men and women working together to redesign not just job descriptions, but culture, communication patterns, leadership expectations, and systems of accountability. It allows us to understand that our roles in construction are not inspired by gender, but are instead driven by skill. This course is not about telling anyone to toughen up. It's about preparing you realistically for what you may encounter while also reminding you that the difficult moments are fewer than they often feel. Most professionals in this industry want strong teammates. They want clarity, they want competence, and they want reliability. The opportunity in front of us is not to erase traditional strengths, it's to expand on them. Construction today demands more than physical stamina and command presence. It demands coordination across multiple stakeholders, financial awareness, regulatory navigation, technology integration, and adaptive leadership. The very strengths that have carried women through generations: empathy, organization, multitasking, adaptability, strategic communication are not soft additions. They're operational advantages. This training is about recognizing that traditional roles were built around traditional skill distributions. But the modern construction industry requires a broader skill set. And when men and women bring their strengths forward intentionally, the industry becomes stronger, more resilient, and better prepared for the complexity ahead. You don't need to become someone else to succeed. You need to understand what the environment demands, prepare for it with clarity, and lead with the strengths that you already possess, refined, disciplined, and applied with confidence. Because what's carried women through generations, empathy, organization, multitasking, adaptability, creativity, are the very skills construction needs right now to innovate, grow, and survive the changes coming to the modern construction industry. Today's lesson is all about analyzing the influence of traditional roles in modern construction. This is where we're going to identify how historical roles have patterned and shaped behaviors, expectations, and communication styles on today's job sites, and explain how those patterns still impact today's workplace dynamics. We're going to differentiate between masculine and feminine energy as task-based dynamics by distinguishing masculine and feminine energy as functional leadership approaches rather than gender identities, and recognizing when production-driven or coordination-driven energy is going to be most effective. Understanding how to apply energy awareness to improve our professional effectiveness. This is where we're going to assess natural leadership tendencies and demonstrate how to intentionally shift between direct execution energy and collaborative coordination energy based on situational demands. And then through implementation, we will integrate balanced energy for confidence, adaptive leadership to develop strategies to balance our strength, adaptability, communication, and emotional intelligence by enhancing professional confidence, leadership presence, and long-term career advancement in modern construction environments. When I say traditional, I'm not talking about outdated. I'm talking about foundational. This will offend some, but if it does, it's because you're not listening with an open mind to the true intentions of this training. There are times out of necessity that things are said in generalities due to the lack of time or inability to get the message across to the entire audience, because you can't just reach everyone all of the time. Understand that anything we're talking about today can be exchanged, man for a woman or woman for a man. However, what we're discussing is true for the majority of the audience. To simplify, traditional traits, God create men for protection, production, and procreation. Women were created for everything else. Women have always been planners, mediators, project managers, long before those titles ever existed. We were scheduling logistics before software. We were managing budgets before spreadsheets and solving problems before anyone thought to call it leadership. But here's the truth. We called those things helping, and helping never got the credit that it deserved. Today, those same skills, empathy, communication, patience, creative problem solving, are now the competitive edge that drives leadership and performance in construction. That industry's changed. We can't just measure value by how much concrete was poured or how many hours were built. The future belongs to those who can lead people, not just manage production. And women have been doing that their entire lives. I always remember that song, "We built this city." But men built this industry on action, on getting things done. Their worth was measured by output. How much did we get done today? That mindset built a lot of great projects, But the next generation of construction needs something more: strategic planning before implementation. Innovation requires reflection before execution. We can't just be builders, we have to be designers of direction. This is where women's traditional strengths meet the modern demand for change. We are naturally flexible. We think in systems. We don't just look at the work, we look at the people doing it, the timing, the ripple effect. While old models valued speed, the new era values strategy. That's why construction now needs the balance of both: the linear focus men have mastered and the integrative thinking that women have lived for with generations. One of the most important shifts that we have to make in construction leadership is understanding that masculine and feminine energy are not gender labels. They are operational modes. Every man and every woman has both. The question is not what you are, it is what you have developed. Masculine energy is the linear force: production, decisive execution, meeting hard deadlines, pushing forward when the schedule is tight. Feminine energy is the integrative force: coordination, communication, sustainability, and creating a culture where teams function under pressure. True leadership requires balance. True leadership will require everyone to have masculine and feminine energy. Many women do well in construction with communication and working with men because they are already higher in their masculine energy. Strategic awareness is the ability to shift between those pillars depending on the task that's in front of you. Some individuals naturally lean towards one side because of their upbringing, their life experiences, or their personality. But development is a choice. When you intentionally strengthen both modes of energy, you build confidence. And confidence, not volume, not force, is what builds real leadership in modern construction. It may also contribute to your mental wellness. Instead of resisting your true individual human operating system to fit into a mold defined by someone else, learn to read energy: masculine, feminine, negative, positive, frequency, vibration, passion, purpose. I could do an entire lesson just on energy in the workforce. But to summarize, understand that you control your state. Your state is determined by your energy, and you can control your energy by your internal dialogue, by asking powerful questions. Not questions like, why can't I? Why won't? Why is this always? No, you need to transition your state with questions that can search like a search engine like Google. Can I? What if I? How do I? But instead of different energies, let's talk about different kinds of leadership. I've seen all kinds of leadership styles. Some are loud and some are quiet. Traditional skills, whether innate, learned, or earned, have always shaped how people lead on a job site. Women tend to lead with more empathy, organization, and multitasking, all often dismissed as soft, yet when applied correctly, they translate directly into accountability, authority, and systems thinking. Empathy is not lowering standards. It's identifying the root cause of failure so performance improves. In an industry built on speed, pressure, and performance, empathy can be labeled as soft or as weakness. But real empathy is not about lowering standards. It's about increasing awareness. It is the discipline of reading behavior accurately, recognizing when someone is overwhelmed, distracted, frustrated, or unsure, and responding in a way that protects the work and the team. Empathy does not remove accountability, it strengthens it. When you understand what may be influencing a crew member's performance, you can address root causes instead of just correcting surface mistakes. That might mean clarifying expectations, adjusting your communication style, or reinforcing safety before an error becomes an accident. Patience and behavioral awareness create stability. Leaders who practice empathy build crews that trust direction, accept correction, and perform consistently. In construction, empathy is not weakness. It is situational intelligence applied to maintain standards while people are aligned and responsible. Organization is more than tidiness. It is preparation, and preparation creates quiet authority because structure proves competence without needing volume. But the one thing that always earns instant credibility, it's going to be preparation. When you're organized, you walk into a meeting already respected. You don't have to prove you belong. Your structure proves it. In construction, organization is authority. It means you know where things stand, what's next, and who's accountable. Women tend to excel here, not because we're perfectionists, even though, but because we understand the cost of chaos. We've managed enough moving parts at work, at home, in life, to know that organization isn't control, it's survival. So never downplay that strength. Structure creates space for leadership to breathe. Now, let's talk about this word multitasking. People love to joke that women have too many tabs open in their brain. Well, maybe, but that's not a flaw. It's capacity. Multitasking, when disciplined, becomes systems thinking, the ability to manage details while tracking the big picture so the project flows instead of fragments. In construction, multitasking is another word for systems thinking. We're managing details while tracking big picture movement. We see how changes in one area affect everything else. The key now is to evolve that skill. We can't keep doing everything ourselves. That's the trap. We've got to move from multitasking to master planning. These are not secondary traits. They are operational advantages. When developed intentionally, they strengthen leadership and reinforce the structure of a team just as clearly as any beam or column strengthens a building. It's not about how much you handle in a day. It's about how intentional you handle it. That's how we protect our energy while staying effective leaders. Construction has always rewarded logic, and it should, but now it's rewarding creativity too. When materials run late, when the design changes mid-project, when the process stalls, logic alone won't save you. Creativity will. Women bring that kind of thinking naturally. We see solutions through context, not just through procedure. Creativity doesn't always mean new ideas. Sometimes it means better coordination or cleaner systems or a more efficient process. It's innovation rooted in practicality. In this new era of construction where technology, sustainability, and collaboration drive success, creative leadership is what keeps companies competitive. Now, for generations, men were seen as providers and protectors, the ones who went out and got the job done while women took care of everything else. Until World War II, when Rosie the Riveter became a cultural icon, representing the millions of women who entered the industrial workforce to support the war effort. As men enlisted, women took over jobs in factories, shipyards, and aircraft plants. But then men came home. Procreation started, the era of the baby boomers, and women went back to taking care of home, family, and community. But in today's construction industry, the roles of both men and women have evolved. We're all providers now of ideas, stability, income, and innovation. We're all protectors of safety, culture, and collaboration. What women bring to this evolution is range. We've always been flexible, adaptable, and diverse in our skills. Now, those very abilities are what drive the industry forward. Men like my dad built construction on resilience, hard work, being tough, and never giving up. Women are helping rebuild it on intuition, adaptability, innovation, communication, and design thinking. Together, those strengths create balance, production with planning, action with reflection. That's the future of leadership. It's time to redefine what success looks like. It's not just about how much you got done today. It's about whether you moved in the right direction. Construction once celebrated exhaustion as a badge of honor. The longer the hours, the higher the value. Now, progress is measured by clarity, quality, and sustainability. Strategic thinking is not just an output, it is the new standard of excellence. And that's where traditional strengths shine. They bring humanity to efficiency. We don't need to erase the old ways. We need to elevate them. When focus meets empathy and speed meets strategy, the result isn't just a better project, it's a better culture. The future of construction doesn't belong to the toughest, the loudest, or the fastest. It belongs to the most aligned, the leaders who understand both people and process. We don't have to abandon our traditional strengths to fit the new world of construction. We just have to embrace them and evolve them. Empathy becomes leadership. Organization becomes influence. Multitasking becomes strategy. And caring for everything else becomes building what comes next. Women in construction aren't only the support system anymore, we are the system builders. So don't apologize for what makes you different. Stand in it, use it, teach it, because this industry doesn't just need your strength, it needs your kind of strength. If you're looking for new ways to support your personal development or growth for your company employees, the Construction Management Online CM Skill Builder membership might be what you're looking for. It is a library of mini courses that guide you through everything that's not in a textbook. You can learn more about construction concepts, how to read specifications and drawings, but also learn about communication, behavioral comprehension, and how to implement AI into your workflows. Make sure to message me if you would like to learn more about performance coaching that can accompany company membership packages. Stay curious and keep learning. Have a great Women in Construction week.